Hey there, welcome back. Well, a lot of you have told me that wiring your devices directly is the best method for connecting, and PoE seems to be the best way of doing that. So I'm really excited today to be testing the Everything Presence Pro, which offers you an Ethernet connection to connect your millimeter wave sensor directly to your Home Assistant. Just to be upfront with you, Everything Presence did send this device to me free of charge, but this is not a sponsored video, and they have no idea of what I'm about to say. So the Everything Presence Pro is selling at $92 US. You can also add a CO2 sensor for an extra $31. This device is designed to work with Home Assistant and has connectivity via Bluetooth, Ethernet, and Wi-Fi. It has a tri-sense detection. There are two types of millimeter wave sensor, one which is giving you zones and another one which is giving you long distance and holding that static presence. And then we have a PIR sensor as well. Using power over Ethernet means we overcome all the limitations of radio waves. Lewis has designed this really cool zone configurator that allows you to graphically set up your rooms, place furniture within the rooms, and track movement and zones. Another cool feature is that you can use this as a sensor for your existing alarm system. You can power the device using the power from your alarm system, and then it has a relay output that you can use to trigger your alarm. The sensors in this device are a DF Robot SEN 0609, which gives us that 25 meter range for large rooms, but also detects really subtle movement and presence. The LD2450 is a 6 meter sensor, which gives us multi-target, multi-zone tracking. And then we have the Panasonic PIR sensor, which works on up to 12 meters range. There is also a light sensor for tracking ambient light, as well as an RGB LED for providing status outputs. The device can be powered by a USB-C 5-volt input, header input from anywhere from 12 to 24 volts DC, and power over Ethernet. Optional extras include the ceiling mount and the CO2 sensor. Now, the first thing that really amazed me about this device was the quality of the packaging. Lewis seems to have found this incredibly dense but flexible packaging material. I can imagine that you could almost drop this off a multi-level building and it would still be fine. Now, the one downside I did find was this cable. I found that unfortunately this little aluminium piece over here was loose, and I also found that plugging this into the device was not working very well. So I've used my own USB-C cable. It comes with two different mounting points. If we just get this out of here, the foam is so good, you really have to squeeze it to get it out. So we have these two different mounts for different configurations. We have a shorter one and a longer one. So this is either for mounting it just on a surface or mounting it from the ceiling. Now, having a look at the device itself, it is quite large, but I'm assuming this is because of all the tech that's been jammed inside of here. So I'm very impressed with the fact that he's upgraded from a 3D printed type of case to a fully plastic injection molded case. So this is quite secure. You can see that the ball mount, although it moves nice and flexibly, it doesn't actually move around once you've put it in position. You can then use screws, or you could use an adhesive to connect this up wherever you wanted it. Now, one of the things that Lewis is promoting for this device is that you could use it in place of your existing alarms in your house. So it can be placed up in the corner, and then it can be wired directly from your alarm system. So on the underside of the device here, we have our Ethernet port. We have some ventilation, which is, I'm sure, needed because this device does generate quite a lot of heat. On this side underneath here, we have our USB-C connector. And then on the top of the device, we have these two clear sections. I'm assuming that this one is for the PIR and this one would be for the light sensor. Inside the casing, we can see the two distinct millimeter wave sensors and the PIR sensor with a plastic diffuser. These are the terminals that can be used to power the device with 12 to 24 volts and can also be used to trigger your alarm. The CO2 sensor is easily installed on these little pins. Once you power up the device, it will connect to your phone using Bluetooth. Next, put in your Wi-Fi password. Now it will connect to your local Wi-Fi, and now you can connect it to Home Assistant. Testing the sensor, you can see as we start walking towards the kitchen, we have installed it. First we get the motion detection starting, then we get the millimeter wave presence, and finally we get the static presence. So this is quite amazing how those three sensors are all working together. So now we're going to create an automation to control the LED in my kitchen. Now I could do this with one automation using the choice command, but for simplicity's sake, I'm going to create two separate ones for now. So we're creating automation using this as a trigger, and we're going to select motion as our trigger. Now the reason we're going to use motion detection is that the PIR sensor is generally the fastest to respond, as we saw in the test. And secondly, the PIR will not see through walls, so it will not create false triggers. Next, we're going to say add an action, and I'm going to control my kitchen LED. So I select the kitchen LED and I want to turn it on. What I really like about these new automations now is that when you turn on a light that is RGB, it allows you to control the brightness, the color, and everything else. Next, we're going to control an automation to turn it off. This time I'm going to select occupancy cleared, and we're going to turn the LED off. Turn off the light. So this is just amazing how you can take advantage of those different sensors within this device to create the optimal automation. You could also say, for example, depending on the light level would be a condition as to whether you wanted to turn the light on or not. Now, there are a massive number of entities within this device. I think there's a total of over 90 entities that are shown within Home Assistant. First of all, we've got our LED, so we control that. We can also manually control that output relay that can be used to send a trigger over to your home alarm system. Next up, we've got the sensors. So over here, we've got humidity and temperature. Now, bear in mind, because there's a lot of electronics in this device, it is creating a lot of heat. So you would definitely need to offset, and I'm not sure exactly how accurate these would be. We've got the illumination sensor over here, and then we've got the different sensors. So we've got our motion, that's the PIR. We've got our millimeter wave, and then we've got our occupancy. So those are the three different sensors. We then also have our zone presence detection, and we've got up to 4 individual zones that we can set up within the zone configurator. For certain features such as the static range and static sensitivity settings, you do need to actually go and press this button once you've adjusted the slider to actually apply the change. We have things like this enabled assume presence. Now this is quite a cool feature. If you find that it is timing out, say you're lying on the couch, for example, you can actually make it assume presence for a certain period, and you can set that period. In this area, you can set up to 4 individual zones and also 2 exclusion zones. But I wouldn't use this. I would actually download the zone configurator, which has been created by Lewis. Basically, you can go in here and you can create your room, and you can put your furniture in, place your sensor in a certain place, put your doors and things. I will leave a link in the description below to a video where I show how to use this. Next, we have all the settings for the presence detection. Now, I would definitely follow Lewis's guide, which explains how to use these different settings in order to get this finely tuned. Finally, we have our diagnostic section. Now, currently we're using Wi-Fi, but if we wanted to switch it over to Ethernet, we could press this selection over here, and then we would need to press this button here to apply the update. Unfortunately, it cannot connect both to Ethernet and Wi-Fi at the same time. So in summary, this sensor honestly does have it all. I think Lewis has taken a huge amount of time and all the experience that he's had in building these sensors and put it together into this one sensor. So I would honestly recommend, if you're looking for a device that is going to be really finely tuned into giving you that presence when you're sitting in the lounge watching TV, for example, this is definitely a sensor that I would be looking at. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this content. Please let me know what you're using for presence sensors and what your experience is. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.